Just start recording and yeah, that's all. So let me introduce you to Javier Canton and Marcos Coveña. Both of them are developers, game developers on Playing Concepts in the Weekend Game Studios spin-off. And they are developing not only the WaveEngine, but as well some other games. And also they were involved in this work in Bye Bye Brain. So please, Javier, Marcos, when you want, we are ready for you.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Canton, and first I would like to thank Eduardo Ortega for inviting us to this event. Today, we want to talk about Brain Apocalypse game for Windows Phone and the technology that is made possible called WaveEngine. First, I would like to share with you our analytics about this game on Windows Phone. You can see the cumulative counter is over 1 million downloads, and we continue to have more than 3,000 downloads every day. Okay, let's start. First, Marcos Coveña, who works in WaveEngine team, will give you an overview of the engine, and later, in the second part, I'm going to show you. I will show you how you can develop using WaveEngine in a demo on Visual Studio. Okay, come on, Marcos.
Okay, thank you, Javier. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so again, thank you, Eduardo, for the chance to ask for present the WaveEngine by Brain at Microsoft Dubai and this event. So huge thanks from Spain. I would like to tell you which is the agenda we will have during this session. So we will start with an introduction of the session. We will continue with some first steps with WaveEngine. Later we will be seeing the development with Wave, which are the tools needed. And as Javier has told you some seconds before, he will show you with Visual Studio a few demos working with Wave. So let's go with the introduction. Let me check. Okay. First, I think Javier and myself, yesterday when we were preparing the slides, we thought that it would be interesting to tell you where do we come from. I mean, in order to understand Bye Bye Brain and WaveEngine and why they come to life, it would be interesting to show you a few dates. So when on September 2010 Bye Bye Brain was launched, it was made on top of Xmate, and the target platform was Windows Phone 7. Playing Concepts and Weekend Game Studio, as Eduardo has told you before, had the chance to launch the game for Android and iOS, but they got into trouble when the only options were to rewrite from scratch the game and port it to natively for Android and iOS. So as you can appreciate, this is a huge amount of effort because you need a team specialized on Android and another team specialized on iOS in order to make those ports parallel. So Javier and a few mates came up with the idea of why don't we make a cross-platform engine and just rewrite Bye Bye Brain with it. So if we can target all the platforms I mentioned before, Android, iOS, Windows Phone, Windows 8, just would be needed one rewrite of the game for such engine, and immediately we would have the game on all those platforms. So that was the way taken. 1 year later, maybe two, because the port was done first to some platforms and later with the other ones. Bye Bye Brain was launched for Windows Phone 7, iOS, iPhone, iPod, and iPad, and Android, more specifically the Kindle Fire, and Windows 8 for the Windows Store UI. So, with just 1 year and a half of development, we had the cross-platform game engine and Bye Bye Brain imported to it. So in terms of numbers, it's a huge success because We just inverted time on porting the game once instead of making a specific version for each platform. So the question was, if this has helped us writing WaveEngine, could it be useful for others? So this is the point where we are currently. I have a few links within this slide. Don't worry, because once we end the session, we will send the presentation to Eduardo so he can share it with you, and you can click on the links and check the website and a few videos we have linked on the presentation. But there where you're seeing a few things made with Wave, this is a link to the website where you have a few games and projects made with the WaveEngine since the launch date, and also the Secret of ISIS. The Secret of ISIS is pretty particular because this is a technological demo made within 1 month of work, which shows the power of WaveEngine, and this demo is running on all the devices we have mentioned above. So you have, if you look for it on YouTube, you have a few videos where you can appreciate this demo running the same exact demo on all those devices. I think it's difficult to show the video within link because maybe you don't have a frame rate so high, so maybe Eduardo can show this later on, or you can appreciate this on your own computers. So let's go to the next one. I honestly love this slide because this one was taken from an internal presentation made for the CEO of Plain Concepts, where it shows at the left side and with the green color which are the numbers of the Bye Bye Brain port with WaveEngine, and at the right side you can appreciate the same numbers when Bye Bye Brain was written on top of XNA for Windows Phone. So just having a look and summing up, you can appreciate that with Bye Bye Brain, with WaveEngine, we have lower numbers than, for example, files. We have 1/4 of the files that was written for XNA, lines of code, which is a pretty common point of view for analyzing software. We have almost 1/4 of the lines, or maybe 1/3 of from the original game. Also, imagine the classes. We have 100 classes, and with Bye Bye Brain for XNA, we have almost 400. So the main reason of those numbers, we will explain this a little bit more later, because it has to be with the architecture of WaveEngine. It's based on components instead of inheritance, which was how Bye Bye Brain was done with XNA. And this style of programming lets some code reuse, so the numbers can decrease a lot. So honestly, we don't have to maybe take into account each point of the graph, but it's pretty impressive that the green side is much lower than the blue one. I think this is the important point of this slide. What is Wave? So briefly, WaveEngine is a two-dimensional and three-dimensional engine written in C#. It's cross-platform thanks to .NET. It runs on iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Windows on the desktop mode, and Windows Store, which is particular from Windows 8. And I think the most important for you, because Eduardo has told us before that you have been having a look to Unity and some other game engines. And normally the issue with those game engines is that you have to pay a huge, maybe not a huge, but a lot of money to make your own games, and also each market price. But WaveEngine is offered currently and will be offered always at free. And absolutely free. I mean, it's $0. We give for free the core, we give for free the tools. You don't have to pay royalties to the company when you launch your game on any of the available stores. Everything from our side, from Plain Concept sites, from Weekend, is for free. So if you want, you can download currently the engine and start doing your own video games. We will continue with some first steps of the platform in order to run WaveEngine and make your own games. The first thing, what do I need? As I've mentioned before, WaveEngine is built on top of .NET platform. So the idea is to don't reinvent the wheel. So maybe if you have been working with .NET, you will always have installed Visual Studio. Currently, we are supporting 2010 and 2012. We support with the setup you can download from the website a few templates. So once you launch Visual Studio, you will see you can create a game project or a game library project instantly with no further setup. Javier will show this later on the demo, so he will tell you where are the templates or how you can use them. Xamarin Studio, which is the former MonoDevelop. We have half support because from the website you can download a DMG for macOS where you have a solution for Xamarin Studio you can open, and this is a game which is have been set up by Javier. We don't offer templates, so you can not create a new project with WaveEngine, but you can open this project created by Javier and modify it to fit your needs. And the idea is that within the following weeks, maybe months, we will be supporting also Xamarin Studio, offering from a few templates from the setup. So once download, you have the Visual Studio installed, you can download WaveEngine. You'll find everything on the website, which is www.waveengine.net. Apart from the downloads, you will find documentation with the app documented. You will find a huge amount of samples. You will find a blog where you are putting almost once a month, maybe once each 2 weeks, a tutorial or a hands-on lab. For example, the last one was showing how to create a mini two-dimensional game like Braid, where you can use some sprite animations, inputs, and so on. So honestly, if you have some time, please visit the website and you'll find a lot of documentation. We also have a forum where you can ask questions, and we used to be checking this forum from every day, so you will see our answers over there. Apart from Visual Studio, depending on which is the platform you want to target, iOS, Android, Windows Store. For Windows Phone, for example, you will need the Windows Phone SDK, which is something you can download from Microsoft. For Windows 8, when you install Visual Studio 2012, you can instantly create application for Windows 8. So obviously you need to install the SDK for the platform in order to create the game. Javier will show this on the demo, so don't worry. In the case of iOS or Android, you need a Xamarin license. Because currently WaveEngine is built on top for those platforms of Mono. Mono is a free implementation of .NET which allow us to port Wave to those platforms. So Xamarin from 1 month ago offers one license. They call this the starter one, which allows for free to publish your own games or applications made for iOS or Android, just if your IL codes lines are further than 32,000 lines. So maybe this is an option if you want to make a small project. You don't have to pay neither WaveEngine, neither Xamarin license. Once you install WaveEngine, we provide a few tools, and we are going to see within the following slides. WaveEngine installer, apart from the obviously needed WaveEngine libraries, which is a bunch of DLLs for each platform. You will find this within the C program files, WaveEngine, blah blah blah. You can check all those DLLs. It will list by default the Visual Studio templates. So the installer checks for Visual Studio 2010 and 2012, and will install those accordingly. So you can start coding from the minute zero. This is something Javier will have a look later. So he will show this live. the wave editor, or the known as the asset exporter, is our tool currently to generate the assets for WaveEngine. So, for instance, if you are using some pictures or some texture for your models, on some models from 3D Studio on your game, this tool provides the chance to pick all those assets, perform some operations, and convert those to a format that WaveEngine understands. We call this format Wave Package, and the extension is .wpk. So this is very pretty easy to understand. You have all your assets. All your asset needs to pass through a pipeline and convert it to a WaveEngine package. So our idea in the future, in the mid-term future, is that this tool with editor, apart from the assets exporter, will be able to push your models and see them within a 3D environment, move the models, move the cameras, put some sounds, move some lights, something like Unity has currently. So, but currently we are just supporting the generation of assets. But that's the idea for a mid-term future. The Wave Converter tool, and this is a tool I have been particularly working on, is maybe one of the magic behind Wave, because once you create your game on Windows, because the idea behind WaveEngine is that as Bye Bye Brain was built for Windows Phone, and the team was always working on Windows with Visual Studio, the idea with WaveEngine, and this is how Bye Bye Brain was done, is to concentrate on making your game working on Windows with WaveEngine. And we provide this tool so you can pick your Visual Studio solution, check which are the destination platforms you like to target, and pressing that one button, you have the same solution prepared with a few files, with new files prepared for running on Android, running on iOS, running on Windows Phone, and running on Windows Store. Javier will show you later on the demo how to run a game made with Wave for Windows, also on Windows Phone and on Windows Store. So again, this is a tool we will be seeing later on the demo. And the last tool is something we call the sample browser. We have, for each functionality we have on the game, on the game engine, we used to create a new sample showing this particular functionality. For example, my mates have been working on the spine skeletal animation system, which is a way to create some two-dimensional animation, something like Flash allows to do, creating some characters split on the different parts of the body. For example, you can put an arm, the head, the body, the legs, and animate them. And this generates a file of my mates have been working on being able to read that file and show the animations on Wave. So, for instance, we have done a sample for such implementation. So currently we have more than 60 samples, and it's growing each week. If we add a new functionality, we used to add a new sample. What particular good thing for the people which is coming now to new to WaveEngine is that you can download and you can press on one of the buttons of each sample hidden and check the source code of the sample, so you can modify this one, create your game apart from the code from this one, and so on. So this is a pretty good place to learn how WaveEngine works and make your modifications and see how the engine behaves with this one. Within this part called development with Wave, we will briefly see which is the architecture behind WaveEngine. I mean, as I've told you before, when we put the slide where we have the green side of Bye Bye Brain rewritten with WaveEngine and blue one rewritten with XNA, I told you that one of the reasons for those numbers is that WaveEngine is built on top of a component system. So within this side, we will have a look to all these points and and maybe we will give you a better understanding of which is the architecture behind WaveEngine. Because for me, for example, when I started using WaveEngine, this is particularly different to the inheritance, which is the common practice within the object-oriented programming. So the most important thing, or the one we will be starting with, is the concept of scene. Every game, and your game with WaveEngine, is made of one or more scenes. From a logical or physiological point of view, the scene is the top of the logical hierarchy. I mean, the scene will be the logical container of every component we will be seeing on the window of the game, or on mobile device and so on. One scene can have two-dimensional and three-dimensional elements. It has its own content. And the content, for those of you who have not been working on XNA or maybe on another game engine, is the way to load assets and unload them, depending if you are going to show this scene on the main window or not. So the scene on WaveEngine has the particularity or the improvement of the functionality that when you change from one scene to the other one, the content is loaded and unloaded in order to improve the memory management. The scene is managed by the screen layer, which is the functionality that allows you to change from one scene to the other and so on. Within those slides, you will have a look at the bottom right side of the slide that we have some Lego pictures. Because when we were talking some months ago, Javier and me, with about how to show WaveEngine to the crowd, we thought that would be a pretty beautiful comparison to see how WaveEngine can be viewed as a Lego block game. So the scene on WaveEngine can be understood like the green box of Lego blocks. So as you can appreciate, inside of the green box, you can see a yellow car with red tires. You can see a blue floor. So this could be understood as the two-dimensional, three-dimensional elements, and the logical container is the green box of Lego blocks. So we will be seeing some particular comparison between Lego blocks and WaveEngine in order to make for more easy the understanding of the architecture. So let's continue with the following one. Entities. Wave is made of entities. Entities is the logical definition of the scene's elements. Everything you add to the scene is made of entities. Entity is a component container. From a logical point of view, a scene could contain two-dimensional, three-dimensional elements. One entity can contain one or more components, and those components can add functionality to the entity. So again, making a comparison with the Lego blocks, as you can appreciate, we have a house made of green floor, blue window. We have a tree at the right side. We also have an airplane, a car with a guy on top of it. Each one of those pieces we could see then as entities on WaveEngine. And for example, one component of the entity house could be the 3D model of the house made with Visual 3D Studio, for instance. Or another component of the entity car could be the behavior of the car when you press some keys on the screen of the mobile device and you want the car to move accordingly. So again, summing up, entity is the logical definition of what a scene contains, and one entity can contain one or more components. And we will see what the meaning of components is in the following slide. This picture is taken from a blog that Javier used to have a look when he was designing the architecture of WaveEngine. At the left side, you see you see an alien, a player, a target, a grenade. Those could be the entities of our game. We have an alien, we have a player, and also a grenade. At the top side and on horizontally, you can see the components of the system. So you can appreciate the position component, which is the orange one, is is present on the alien, is present on the player, is present on the target. But for instance, the render one, we just want to render the alien and the players and the grenade. So we can reuse, thanks to the component architecture, the logic of something within a huge of entities. So this is one of the reasons why by WaveEngine, when it was rewritten with WaveEngine, the number of things used tend to be lower than when it was written with on top of XNA. The reason is the code reusal. Components. One components from a logical point of view is also, again, as SN was and as entity was, it's also a logical container. So we differ three different components within WaveEngine. If you just want to add logic to an entity, in terms of logic, we mean nothing to modify the another component of the entity, or we don't want to draw anything on the window. If you just want to add logic to an entity, you can use a component itself. If you want to modify another component or add some, where you want to have a loop, update loop, and modify, for example, or check the input of the mobile devices, you can create a behavior component which provides an override of the update method, so you can check in every cycle which is the state of, for example, the touch input. And if you want to draw something on the window, you have the drawable component, which is able to call the draw method. You have an override of the draw method, so you can draw something on the window, which is specified by you within this component. So we have two different components on WaveEngine. The component itself, which just adds to lets you to add some logic to the entity. We have the behavior component, which provides the update method, so you can check for inputs, for example, within the update loop. And we have the drawable component, which provides an override of the draw method, so you can draw something on the window. Obviously, those components can be added, and Javier will show this later, can be added to an entity, and even this, we can share the same component within a huge amount of entities. If you have not understood it, you can write just one component and share this code within all those entities. The managers. Within WaveEngine, we have 4 different managers. As we had the which was the name? Let me check. Screen layer. Okay, so that was the manager for the scene. We also have 4 different managers, which is the entity manager, which allows to look for a particular entity name. We have the render manager, which is in charge of everything related to drawing on the screen. We have the behavior manager. The behavior, as we have told you before on the previous slide, is the one providing the update method, so you can look for a particular behavior manager within the scene. And we have the physics manager, which is in charge of everything related to the physics. Also within WaveEngine, and I think Javier will show this within one of his demos, some physics box, I think he has contemplated that within the demo. The physics manager and WaveEngine has a physics engine included, so you can make use of physics with a few lines of code. Let me check if whether this animation within PowerPoint is shown on. Okay, I think you can see the animation. Okay. So let's mix things together and check within this picture if we have understood what we have seen before on the previous slides. Let's imagine we have our game, and we have created one scene, and we would like to put within this scene a player, an alien, a rock, a car, and a weapon. Imagine a player with a 3D model, an alien which is another 3D model, a rock again, and a car. We have a model of a car, and a weapon. We have a model of a weapon, and they are seen on the screen. One of the things, or one of the managers we were mentioned before, is the entity manager. the entity manager is in charge of adding or connecting of all the entities on the thing. So, for example, our weapon, we would like the player to make use of this weapon. So the entity manager is the one who knows that the player makes use of the weapon. Also, the alien is riding the car, so the entity manager is the one in charge of knowing that the car is connected to the alien. Everything from a logical point of view. Here you can see that the entity manager has an entity. You can see the green box, for example, the car, the rock, the alien, the player, and this each entity is composed internally as, for example, if you have a 3D model, we have a transform 3D, which is a component which provides you the position of the element on the space, the rotation, the angles, and another component is the model itself, which is the one in charge of loading the 3D Studio model converted to wave package and showing this within your game. The box collider, which is pretty useful for the physics and being aware of when one model is hitting with another one. Animation 3D, which is in charge of the animations of the model. Rigid body, which is useful for the physics. And model render, which picks the model and the transform 3D and puts the model within the position you have specified within the transform 3D. So the behavior manager will pick all those components of the entities which he understands. For example, the behavior manager will pick the animation 3D in order to play the animation, stop the animations, and will be aware of this one. The physics manager will be aware of the components that has to be with it. This is the rigid body 3D, and the render manager will be aware of which are the components of the entity which will be able to render or draw the model within the screen. So the default component library is provided with animation, cameras, gestures, graphics, two-dimensional, graphics for 3D, particles, UI, and we have a few ones that maybe Javier will be commenting after. This slide zooming up says that out of the box, we provide a huge amount of components, behaviors, and drawables that you can make use on your own game. So it's pretty common that you will be reusing a lot of them, and you will be able to concentrate just on your game, and because we will be providing a lot of underground components that can be useful for you. So the last slide before giving the step to Javier is that Wave Services is a namespace we are providing with WaveEngine that allows to access some particular configuration of each device. For example, when we were talking, Javier and myself, yesterday preparing this slide, we were thinking that maybe the most useful way to explain Wave Services is that, for instance, if you are running on a Windows Phone device, you have the input is that you can touch the screen, so the input would not be a keyboard, nor would not be a mouse. It would be the touch on the screen. But if you are running WaveEngine on Windows desktop, you will be aware of the keyboard and also you will be aware of the mouse. So we provide something like a factory, not a factory, but a entry point on WaveEngine, so you can check which is the input independently of you are running on a mobile device or you're running on a desktop computer, you're running on a tablet. So if you want to check which is the touch available on Windows, you can check which is the first touch, which will be the mouse. But if you check the same value on a mobile device, it will be the first time you press the screen with a finger. Also, the platform, for instance, is the way to check which is the screen height, screen width, and screen height of the platform. So if you ask for it on a Windows Phone, it will say for 800, and if you check for it on a tablet, it will say the screen size of the tablet. So summing up, this is a easy way of accessing properties of each device, but everything within the same point of view. And for me, I think it's done. Javier, if you want to continue with the demo.
Okay, and first I need to share my desktop.
Okay.
Eduardo, can you see my desktop?
Yeah, it's loading right now. So just, yes, I can see it now.
Okay, thanks, Marcos. Let's go with the second part. Now I'm going to show you how you can develop using WaveEngine. First, we need to download it to the website, waveengine.net. Here you can find a lot of content, documentation, hands-on lab, a lot of demos with source codes. In the download page, you have 4 parts. The most important one is Essential, where you have the Windows installer and simple browser with more than 60 demos using with complete source codes. And below that, you have now our nightly build for Windows and tools. And in the last part, you call Extra. You have a 3D Studio Max plugin for sport models and an interesting link to open source repository in GitHub, where we have published some internal component to make it easy to create a new custom component for our user. You can see UI components and more. And in graphic 3D folder, you have the spinner component that will be used later in the demo. And here you can see the internal code that we have in WaveEngine for this component. Okay, let's go to download it. We need to download Windows Installer. I have already downloaded it. And to complete the installation, you only need to follow the wizard, this wizard. Okay, when you have installed it, you can see 3 new icons in the desktop. The first one is a tool to manage the advertising provider in your games. You can set a complex map of provider for all countries. The second one is access exporter tool that we use to convert the content of our games to be used on all platforms. And the last one is the project converter tool, which helps us convert our games for all platforms. Okay, apart from this, it has installed in Visual Studio 2010 or 2012 new templates. Go file, new projects. And here in Visual C# you can see WaveEngine template for I'm going to create a new project called My Game in desktop, and you can see how this template creates 2 projects in your solution. The first one is a launcher. Its project will be different for each platform. And the second one is a library project. That project will be the same for all platforms. Let's focus on this. The game class. In the game class, you can see how you can use the 3D layer to show my scene in the screen, empty scene. And in my scene class, you have an empty scene, which this only have the background color blue. And if we run it, now you can see our game in Windows, on Windows. Okay, the first thing we will do is create a queue. To do that, we need an entity to and put some component inside of it. Okay, entity, cube, new entity, name cube. I'm going to use flowing interface to write this entity. One component that we need is transform 3D. Transform 3D.
Javier,
What?
Javier, could you just zoom in a bit on the screen in Visual Studio?
Okay. Now better?
Yeah, much better, thank you.
Okay. Transform 3D to give the entity a position, rotation, and scale in 3D world. Another component that we need is a model. We can load an external file from 3D Studio Max, or we can use a model primitive. I'm going to use a cube primitive. And the other component that we need is a material map. I'm going to use the full material, and the last component that we need is a model renderer to draw it on the screen. Okay. Now we have the unbased entity, and we have an entity, and we also need to add this entity to the entity manager tree. Entity manager, net, cube, and to see this cube on the screen, we need a camera. To do that, we have a prefab entity using parent decorator to do this easily. And I'm going to create a camera, free camera. Any problem with bar camera new free camera? Sorry, I need to pass the name, main camera, position, new position of this camera. I'm going to put on here and look at vector 3, 0. Okay, and now we also need to add this camera to the entity manager. Camera, and now if we run it, we can see our queue on screen. Okay, now I'm going to how you can add or use a behavior for this queue. Okay, I'm going to put a new component here, spinner component that we see later. Before, and we need to set the rotation for each axis. For example, just this. Okay, and only with that we can see how now our queue rotate. Okay. And it's interesting how we can change the behavior of the entity dynamically, and how we can change the order of this component. Oh, sorry. Put this here, and we have the same result. Okay, now I'm going to remove the spinner component and explain to you how you can create a new custom behavior. Going to create a new class, my behavior. In WaveEngine there are 3 kinds of components to hold data, behavior with update method, and drawable with draw method. I'm going to create a behavior, and we need to implement the update method. Okay, first I'm going to create a constructor for this class, behavior. I need a name. Okay. Now, I can put my new custom behavior in my entity. New my behavior, and here we need to change any property of the other entity component. To do that, we have 2 options. First we need is create a new property to link it with the other component. For example, transform. And to link it, we have two options. Using resolve dependency method, right? Resolve dependency method and delete dependency method, where we need to do that manually. In resolve dependency, we write if transform equal owner is the parent entity, owner Q entity, component of type transform 3D, and equal null, new null reference section, transform canon be null. And in the delete dependency method, we need to release that stance. The other option to do that is using custom attribute. Name require component. This method does the same thing using reflection. Okay, and now I'm going to modify any property of transform 3D. For example, rotation, y-axis. I'm going to use again time. Do that independent of the time. Okay, and now if we run it, we can see how our queue is use our new custom behavior. Okay, now we have seen how to create a new component in WaveEngine, and now we will do a physics demo. To do that, I'm going to remove that and my behavior, and let's create a new floor entity, very similar to RQ, floor, name floor. We also need transform 3D. We also need material map component. This time I'm going to use a basic material to draw this entity with green color. Color green, set to green. And we also need a model. This time I'm going to create a plain primitive with normal looking up and size, for example 10, and finally we need a model renderer to draw it, and we also need to add this new entity to the entity manager tree at floor. I'm going to change the camera position so that it will be on top of the plane. Zero, 4, 0, and I'm going to change the camera position to farther, 12. And if we run it, now we can see, ouch. Now we can see RQ on top of the plane. Okay, let's add physics behavior to this scene. To do that, we need two more components. We need a box collider that represent a physics model, and we also need a ready body 3D component, and we need to set this kinematics equal to true to indicate that this entity is a static object. In our queue entity, we also need a box collider component and a new Rigi body 3D component. Okay, with default values, it's okay, and if we run it, we can see how the cube fold and collision with the floor. Okay, to make this demo more amazing, I'm going to put the cube creation code in another method to create more cube. Okay, create cube, and we need a pass. We need to pass a string for each cube, a string name, and a position for each cube. Okay, put name here and a position here, and I'm going to put this code in a loop. For example, I'm going to create 10 cubes, and we need to pass the name. Name will be cube plus index, and the position will be for x-axis and 4 plus 1 for y-axis and 0. Okay, and if we close here, voila, we have a new physics demo when you can see how cube fold and collide between them. We can change this cube for sphere if you want to do that. Now I'm going to change cube for sphere, for example, first, and we need to share the collider for first collider, and if you want to see how the colliders are, you can activate the debug lines in the engine. Random manager debug lines true, and now you can see how this first roll on the floor. Okay, but I'm sure that you want to see it on Windows Store or Windows Phone platform. To do that, we need to use the project converter tool installed previously. Okay, and close this project, and I'm going to open the project converter tool. Go to my game folder, select solution file, check target platform, Windows Phone and Windows Store, convert, and go to the folder, and here you can see two new solutions for Windows Store and Windows Phone. I'm going to open first Windows Store solution. Here you can see two projects. The first one is launcher for this platform, and the other one is the project that we worked on before. We only need to go manifest and change the certificate. I'm going to use my develop certificate for these apps. And okay, in the other project, you can see our code. Okay, same code, and only with that, if we run it on Windows Phone, Windows Store, we can see the same project running on Windows Store. Okay, and now I'm going to open the other solution for Windows Phone. I don't need to change anything in this solution. We have two projects, the launcher and the same codes. And if you run it on Windows Phone emulator, it's spent a little bit time to run this emulator. You can see our project now running on Windows Phone. Okay. Finally, I would like to show you. I would like to show you the simple browser here, where you can find a lot of demos using WaveEngine, for example, in 3D. For example, this in New York City with the source codes, and you have example about sound, physics. You have material, for example, a particle system with fire, smoke, rain, now snow, and you also have samples about physics in 2 dimensions, which will you have a rope and cube in 2 dimensions. Okay, and I hope you enjoy this, and if you need more information about this project, make sure to visit the website and its forum, where you can find another WaveEngine team members, and if you need to contact me, you can write me on WaveEngine.net, and you also follow us on Twitter at WaveEngine. Thank you very much.
Yes, first, thank you both of you for just going with us today. It was a very interesting session. This is the first time I see the WaveEngine running. I was quite impressed because, as you know, I'm an XNA developer, and for me it's quite like XNA development, and it's so easy. I just adding some components and behaviors on the 3D models you have is super easy just to develop applications in comparison with DirectX. So very good work, both of you, because it's a very good project what you have here. I don't know if you have any question for them from here, for the audience, regarding to the WaveEngine or game development or the Bye Bye Brain game. So this is your moment. Otherwise, you have to wait another year. This moment, yes. You first.
Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure this might be obvious, but I'm just wondering, when you port it to the Windows Phone 7, I'm sure it would work on Windows Phone 8 as well, right? Because XNA and things have no support, but it still runs on Windows Phone 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, right? Exactly. I'm pretty sure it is, but I just want to confirm.
Yes, Javier, the question is, can you hear me, Javi?
Yeah.
I think I hear it like this.
The question is about the portability between Windows Phone 7 and Windows Phone 8.
We have now we are working on a new adapter for Windows Phone 8. This adapter will be native for this platform, and we released that new adapter in the next month, and you can use the same codes for Windows Phone 7 and Windows Phone 8 with the current adapter if you want. But this adapter uses XNA to run on this device, on those devices.
Okay, that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question?
Yeah. Do we have controller classes, like touch controllers and keyboard, mouse?
Do you have touch controller classes like touchable, mouse, keyboard, and other controllers?
Yeah, within the Wave services namespace I mentioned on the slide previously, we have the input class, which provides some abstraction of the touch devices, mouse, keyboards. So, for example, you can check for Wave services dot input dot touch panel and check which are the pointers of your fingers pushing the screen, or you can check for the mouse input or the keyboard input and check for a specific key if it's press or release or something else. So yes, you can check for all of those.
Okay, thank you. Any other question before we close the connection with them?
Do you have something like a Unity drag and drop stuff and designer to, yeah, like
Yeah, they are asking about if you have any designer like to drag and drop just content messages or something similar easily and just leverage the code to enhance it with behaviors. So you have any editor that you can use to help you on creating these games?
Currently, the idea is that Wave Editor, something which I've been calling now Assets Exporter, is in a future the visual editor for creating your own games and behaviors and so on. But this would be and is really a huge effort on the team to concentrate on this particular tool, and currently we have been concentrating all the efforts on the core and trying to make everything or improve the core. So currently the answer is no, we haven't, but we would really like, and we will be working on this in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, I have to cut because we have to go with the last session. So thank you again very much for coming today, and I really appreciate your effort on the WaveEngine and on the Bye Bye Brain and other games you have. So thank you really so much. I will contact you again just to upload the slides to the community website, and I just recorded the session, so I will update it as well on the website for you. So thank you, and see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks, Eduardo, for the chance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you all of you for attending. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.